Good morning. So the goal today is to not talk about masks or other stuff like that, and to talk about something way more or less controversial, like Sodom and Gomorrah. We already read verse 1, but we're going to read it again. So Genesis chapter 19, verse 1. Now the two angels came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting at the gate of Sodom. When Lot saw them, he rose to meet them and bowed himself with his face to the ground. And, verse 2, he said, "Hear now, my lords, please turn into your servant's house and spend the night and wash your feet, that you may rise early and go on your way." And they said, "No, but we will spend the night in the open square." But he insisted strongly, so they turned into him and entered his house, and then he made them a feast and baked unleavened bread, and they ate. So Lot seems to have an idea of what's going on or what might be going on. Lot identifies these two guys as significant, special, worthy of his attention, and he's trying to get them off the streets. Obviously, Lot is no fool. Lot knows what goes on in this city in which he sits in the gate. Righteous Lot, as Peter says. Why is he still there? I don't know. That's what we talked about last time. Why hasn't Lot just left? When he looks at it and sees the ship is sinking, just a bail. This is the first mention in the Bible of unleavened bread. And though unleavened bread can be a picture of holiness or being without sin, that's definitely a picture used in the Bible. Another thing it also symbolizes is being in haste. That was part of them getting out of Egypt, was they didn't wait for the bread to rise. They just ate unleavened bread. And seems like Lot's in a hurry to get them off the street, to get them fed, to get them tucked away asleep in their beds, so they're not making any noise and not being noticed, so he can get them out and on their way early in the morning. Now before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, both old and young, all the people from every quarter surrounded the house. And they called to Lot and said to him, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us, that we may know them carnally." So Lot went out to them through the doorway and shut the door behind him. And he said, "Please, my brother, do not do so wickedly. See, now I have 2 daughters who have not known a man. Please let me bring them out to you, and you may do to them as you wish. Only do nothing to these men, since this is the reason they have come under the shadow of my roof." Yeah. Well, here's the thing. There's actually some good mixed in with all this bad. Obviously, Lot recognizes that these men are not ordinary men. Something about him is he's overly protective of these 2 men. Part of it is just the Middle Eastern hospitality, that when people come under your roof, you are responsible for them. Offering up his daughters. I mean, it's crazy, right? And you know what? It doesn't matter if you're righteous Lot or righteous Bob, righteous John, righteous Sue, righteous Peggy, whatever your name is, right? When we choose to dwell amongst pagans, against unbelievers, the heathen, we'll find ourselves doing some awfully crazy stuff. Just like they do. That's why we ought to surround ourselves with holy and righteous people, sinners still, right? But still, when we surround ourselves with Christians. Hebrews talks about exhorting one another while it's still called today. I mean, that's the idea, is that we need each other to exhort each other. As iron sharpens iron, so does the countenance of one man sharpen his brother. So we need each other to keep each other sharp. This is why, and this is for you, why you need to be in a church. Why you need to try and surround yourself with other Christians. Because like Lot, I think Lot was trying to walk the straight and narrow, but he had no one else to strengthen him. He had no one else to remind him when he was veering off course, and maybe he hadn't caught it yet. It's the fact that he had 2 virgin daughters. I think there's something in that he was trying to care for his own house and raise up his own daughters and children well. The fact that they were still virgins shows that obviously he invested enough in his own family to protect them, and yet, as we'll see, his wife will look back longing for Sodom, and his daughters are going to have some corrupt ideas of their own, no matter how much dad tries to protect and shield the daughters, because he chose to live in a place where they were going to be continually exposed to all this wickedness. No matter how much dad was trying, the daughters were still going to be affected by that. You know, I think if you want to raise godly children, it's possible to do it both at home and in the public schools. But in both scenarios, much time must be invested in the children. And if you're going to let the public schools do the teaching and the educating, you are going to have to spend an awful lot of time, I don't know how much, it all depends, the kid, the place, the this, the that, re-educating all the other stuff they're going to pick up, right? I'm not even talking about academics. Just shelve any academics and just talk about what they will learn from the other kids, what they will learn from other people, from other families who aren't Christian families. When your kids hang out with non-Christian kids, we should not be surprised that they begin to pick up non-Christian things. More is caught than taught. And so, again, we see here with Sodom and Gomorrah that Lot had a desire to be holy and righteous, but because he had no one else to support him, there was no other example for his daughters other than him. And of course, when we were all teenagers, we looked at our parents and said, yes, that is my role model, who I want to be. Okay, some of us did maybe, but a lot of us see all these other people. Mom and dad say don't, but all these other people say do. Why would I follow dad when everyone else in the world's doing something different? So it's just a reminder that, but when you surround your children, when you surround yourself by a body of believers who believe the same way as you, who are raising their kids in a very similar manner as you, not necessarily the same, but similar. When your kids have Christian friends growing up, it changes things dramatically. Whether the adult or the child, we see the effect of having Christian fellowship. It's funny that my little kids, Judah being the oldest of the younger gang, you know, it's baffling to them when they realize that some people don't believe in God, that some people don't go to church, that some people don't, you know, think the way that we think, because he's surrounded by a bunch of kids. He has tons of friends, but they're all from Christian homes. And so that's normal to him. Lot's daughters growing up in Sodom, normal to them was very different. And again, righteous Lot, 2 Peter 2, 6 through 8. Righteous Lot wanted to do good, but he didn't find the power or strength to truly do it. And I think a lot of it had to do because he didn't have fellowship. He didn't have the accountability of other Christians in his life. We don't find a lot of lone wolves in the Bible, and a lot of times we don't find them making wise choices. So one more time, I'll encourage you guys, have a body of believers whom you fellowship with. Have a church you call home and commit to it. And you know what? You can pick your friends, but you can't pick your family. Just remember that no church is perfect. No people are perfect. But just like your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, your aunt, and your uncle, they weren't perfect either, but they were still your family. So, surround yourself with the church. Don't surround yourself with Sodom. Otherwise, you might find you and your family in a similar situation. I was doing my still thing again where I stay really still and you wonder if the video froze or not. Anyway, okay, so I'm going to go now. God bless you guys. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. See, I did it again. Okay, here we go.